Welcome back to another devlog. It's been a while since the last devlog, even though I said I would try to do the devlogs more frequently. I'm just super busy right now. A lot has been changed since the last update. This is mainly because I reworked again. Yeah, again. I just keep seeing better ways I could have done certain tasks. Along with this, I also ran into a bug that has occurred only once in one of my other projects, where Unity will crash and once restarted, all script and shader variables will continue to display their current value in the inspector, but the engine treats them as if they are 10,000 times higher. This means my waves became absolutely massive and just started clipping through everything, and all my finely tweaked ship movement was destroyed. I restarted the engine a few times and re-imported all the assets, but I couldn't get it to work. In the end, I just ported most of the assets over to another project and decided to see if I can do it better. Before the rework, I wanted the game's aesthetics to be cartoony like Borderlands or Breath of the Wild. This is going to be a challenge because I don't and probably never will have any shader programming experience. I only recently learnt what a buffer was. Because I am using one of Unity's preset scriptable render pipelines, the Universal Render Pipeline, I have access to the shader graph, which is a visual shader development tool. It is really helpful because it allows me to make shaders even without knowing anything about them. And if any of you were wondering why I'm using the Universal Pipeline instead of the High Definition Pipeline, that's because the HDRP, from what I understand, is meant to be used for hyper-realistic renders or AAA games. Last time I checked, cartoon shading isn't particularly realistic. I actually was originally using HDRP, but I ran into many issues with it, and my overall view on it is that it just isn't complete. Anyway, even with shader graph, I couldn't figure out how to make the toon shader mask the entire view of the player. There are plenty of tutorials on YouTube attempting to make it work, but so far they aren't efficient long-term solutions. All of them are only shaded singular objects instead of the entire scene, and break when they're placed on larger objects. The most common ones I saw were where the shader worked well with just the directional light and not spotlights or point lights, so it's pretty much useless. A while ago, when the game was still called Geometria, Unity released a shader that worked on the then called lightweight render pipeline. It did exactly what I needed it to do. The only problem was that it was made specifically for the lightweight render pipeline, and Unity changed a bunch of code references when upgrading to the Universal Render Pipeline in later versions, meaning it stopped working. From then to now, I've been just using the default diffuse shader due to my lack of skill with shaders. But recently, when I was going from Discord to Discord trying to see if anyone knew how to fix the toon shader for the Universal Pipeline, a user pointed out that Unity had recently upgraded the toon shader from lightweight pipeline to Universal Pipeline. I downloaded it, hooked it up to my new project, and it worked great, and so far I've had minimal issues with it. I know technically it isn't cell shading, it's actually just a global posterization shader that accounts for the depth buffer, but it works well enough for me. Step 2 was island generation. I didn't like how the old islands generated. It was slow and didn't support chunks. I set to work trying to find a better solution and soon came across a Unity tutorial YouTuber called B3AGZ. I'm probably saying his username incorrectly. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. He had recently done a tutorial on the Martin Cubes algorithm, which was what my old islands had used to generate. My original algorithm was actually set up by someone else because I had no idea how to do it. Because of B3AGZ's tutorial, I finally understood what was actually happening in the algorithm and was able to make my own that supported chunks, dual contouring, and was a lot faster. The only issue I ran into was when I tried to generate any sort of hills or mass on top of the islands, the smooth mesh option wouldn't smooth it out. I'm pretty sure it was a simple fix, but I had no idea how to do it. Luckily, I kind of want to have the surface of the island flat, so it works out alright, though in the future I may want to change this. Step 3 was the boat physics. Although the boat physics in the last version of the game was working, they were very sharp and unrealistic, and you couldn't really even call them physics. At first, to improve this, I started looking at actual boat physics and found a lot of results, but because I'm not a physicist, I didn't understand any of the ones that were either not game development related or weren't explained by WikiHow. An issue was all the results I wanted to implement wouldn't work with the current cloud ocean, so that had to go. I am now left with an empty sky and some islands. To make a bit more sense, I made it so the boats can rotate up and down by 30 degrees. This allows them to move pretty much up and down. This will be controlled by a lever on the ship that the player can pull. An issue with this now is that the boat is extremely still and feels really static. I tried to implement one of those boat physics techniques I made, but it just didn't work with the larger objects. So I've just gone back and optimized my old boat physics. I did a few more things like adding different quality profiles to the editor so that different computers could run it at different aesthetics, but that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, I'll see if I can get another one of these things out soonish.